edition of AI Spotlight Show. We are here at Google Cloud Next 2025. As you know, we like talking about the latest in the world of AI innovation. And today, we'll be interviewing a representative of Aiven, and we have the person of Jason F. He will be telling us more about what kind of services they offer in terms of organization that are looking to develop AI technology. As you all know, when it comes to building AI technology, we have different phases of AI lifecycle. We have where you identify the business, the business value or the business use case. You also have a phase where you talk about the data collection, the data planning, the data cleaning, and you also have a phase where we talk about the model selection, the model training, the fine-tuning, the optimization, and also a phase of model deployment as well as monitoring. And today we want to know what phase of AI lifecycle does Aiven support. Mr. Jason, welcome to AI Spotlight Show.
Thank you, Henry.
Tell us about your company.
Yeah, so Henry, we started out about 10 years ago as Postgres as a service, and what we do there is offer open source solutions such as Postgres and Kafka, OpenSearch, ClickHouse, Redis to our customers, and we offer them agnostic of the cloud. So we started about 10 years ago to allow customers to bring any of their data to these open source solutions, and we manage these solutions for our customers on Google, Azure, Oracle, as well as AWS. And yeah, that's where we are today.
Wow, that is really amazing. Then in 3 key points, can you tell us what kind of platform solution does Aiven support?
In terms of platform, in terms of a platform solution, one of the key benefits of our platform is that if you're multi-cloud, then you are able to run that same Postgres service in the same fashion across AWS or any of the others or Google. And the reason for that is what we do is we spin up the Postgres or Kafka service on the virtual machines. So if you launched a Terraform and used Terraform to launch that Postgres, it's the same experience for you on all of the clouds. And what I mean by that is instead of having to use, say, AWS RDS or Google Cloud SQL, which have different interfaces, different Terraform, you can use one Terraform from us to spin up that Postgres on just changing the cloud name as well as the region name. So it's a true platform allowing you to use the open source solutions to build out your applications that reside and all pretty much require a database or an event stream such as Kafka or a textual search such as, say, OpenSearch.
Wow, that is really insightful. Then can you tell us how this technology supports what phase of the AI lifecycle? Is it the aspect of the data collection, the data storage, or the data cleaning? Can you, respond to this question like with a use case?
Yeah, great question. So I think what some people sometimes forget about AI is that ultimately your data resides somewhere. And where does it typically reside first? It resides in a database, or it's moving through an event bus like Kafka. So first and foremost, the technologies that we offer, such as Postgres or OpenSearch, they both have vector capabilities. So outside of your data, which is already in your database, now you can bring it out to a model, turn the embedding, and then store that embedding back into the database so that then you can answer potentially your application space or your customer space to query that data and find the answers that you're looking for. Same thing along with more advanced databases such as, say, ClickHouse, or now we've actually been named the Partner of the Year by Google for our database offering. And the reason for that is AlloyDB. AlloyDB is bringing the power of OLTP, online transaction processing, as well as analytic processing, now with vector enablement. So we are in the business right now of enabling you to have all of your data stored after you've done the analysis with your data models, and then serve that to whatever layer you need to, the application or directly to your users.
Wow. I would like to pick one of your responses where you mentioned about OLTP, and something struck my mind. Does that mean that you guys provide a platform for organizations that are trying to build predictive AI?
Yeah, absolutely. So, like I said, we're not in a model hosting business. That's not where we are today. But in terms of bringing your data into a model,
Yeah, just to provide more context, when I talk predictive AI, I'm talking about analytical AI, where organizations use advanced platforms to build more advanced KPI. And to do that, they definitely need like a database, probably integrated with Tableau or Power BI.
oh, sure, sure. So in that case, in terms of putting analytics after the fact,
Yeah.
or for example, we're working with one of our largest partners right now, where they wanted to do real time AI inferencing models and AI recommendations as the data is coming through. So customers use their website to book travel. And so when I say I want to search where to go in Vegas, for example, since we're in Vegas, and maybe I'm coming with a family of 4, well, I obviously can't bring my kids into a casino, but the fact is it already knows that I'm a family of 4 and I have 2 kids. They're going to recommend alternative things for me in real time. So they've already developed that model, but now how do you do that? You need a platform like Aiven to be able to, with Kafka or within pulling in the information out of the contextual data that I've already stored about myself from past information that I provided to the system. Now, with that, they can say, oh, yeah, the Hep family should go to maybe out to the Hoover Dam, right? Rather than, because that's a good thing to do as a family, rather than obviously bringing kids into a casino.
Wow, that is amazing. Then now my question would be, does your platform support different kinds of data structure? Every organization have how they keep their data, or they arrange their data. Do you want to talk about that?
Yeah, I mean, that one's a pretty easy one for me to answer.
Okay.
So given that we are just, like, for example, Postgres as a service, MySQL as a service, OpenSearch as a service, you bring your schema, you bring your data models to whatever data technology it is that you want. You provide everything that you want to define how your data looks, how you interact with your data, how you query your data, because it is just Postgres, it is just OpenSearch, it is just a SQL database or a NoSQL database in some cases. So yeah, we're not limiting you in any way for fitting into our data model because we're offering the open source solutions as a service.
Wow, that is really amazing. Then one question is, how does your platform support the need for maybe uptime and scalability?
Ah, great question. So in terms of uptime and scalability, all of our services have the capability to run in high availability mode. So for example, Postgres, you may run in a 2-node or a 3-node pair where you have a primary and 2 read replicas, so that's a high availability. If you lose the primary node, then one of the read replicas will automatically be promoted to the primary, and then we would bring in a read replica to backfill it. Same thing for something like, say, Kafka or OpenSearch, which is a clustered technology. If we lose a node in that cluster, maybe the virtual machine died, or one of the regions went down, we can automatically bring that back to health. We recognize when the node is lost, we bring a node back into the cluster, we move that data around, and we're making sure that it has the high availability. Same strategy for disaster recovery. If you wanted to put a remote read replica even in the same cloud, so you could put it, say, in East Coast and West Coast on Google, but you can also put a remote read replica on with your primary on, say, Google East, and your remote might be on AWS West. So we can do cross-cloud disaster recovery scenarios too.
Wow, that is really amazing. Yeah, that's a good response. Then my next question would be, let's look at performance. Then how does the platform itself help to, look at performance? Is there like a dashboard that is being built?
Yeah, absolutely. So you have a couple of ways, and it depends on the technology, again, the performance. So something like, say, connection pools on a Postgres, you can obviously be able to monitor and look at that. You can also, for example, look at all the telemetry metrics coming off of your clusters through our Thanos server, which is gathering time series of everything from compute, RAM, storage, networking, the amount of bytes coming in and out of your clusters. And then with that, you can see those on dashboards that we serve in Grafana. The piece that we also allow you to do is then we allow you to scale vertically So you can modify the amount of compute and RAM into the cluster, or scale horizontally if it's a horizontally scalable architecture, say like OpenSearch or Kafka. We also allow you to, unlike some of our competitors, to scale down. So a lot of our customers, especially our retail customers, really require the capability to scale up right before Thanksgiving, right? Retail season, and then they scale up their services for the shopping season, which is typically about 6 to 8 weeks. After that, they're going to scale it back down to their normal operation mode. So that allows them to meet and plan for their peak demand, and then scale back down so that you're not spending money after the fact without the capability to scale back down.
That's great. Then my next question would be, in terms of workload, you know, now a lot of organizations, when it comes to designing AI solution, right, there is always a tendency of high volume of data.
Yeah.
You understand? Maybe 1 into trillions, I don't know. Then another thing would be combination of different AI solution, like building an AI solution that requires deep learning, generative AI. Then how does your platform help to accommodate, you know, this workload of, you know, of high volume?
Yeah, and it sort of depends on what the customer in this case is trying to accomplish.
Yeah.
So I lead the solutions architecture team, and that's where we typically engage with the customer. Their data is already residing in one of our databases, or it's flowing through our event bus. With that, then we work with them to figure out, okay, what are you really trying to do with this data? Is it looking at aggregating the data over a period of time? Are you looking for massive extraction of that data into a model to train it or learn or provide learning to it? And it all just sort of depends. The key thing is that our systems can scale to meet, you know, depending on the system itself, obviously terabytes to potentially even petabytes if you're looking at some of our warehousing technology, to meet the needs of your data. And we just work with you to sort of figure out what you're trying to do, because every use case is different. We don't pigeonhole you into just our solution, because it is just open source at the end of the day.
That's a prudent response. Then my next question would be, does your platform support industries where they have to comply with some kind of stringent policy?
Yeah.
Maybe like the financial sector, where they have like the PII policy or the PCI policy, and the healthcare where they have the HIPAA policy. How safe is your environment when it comes to industry type like this?
Yeah, great question. And so for both of those, PCI DSS accreditation as well as HIPAA accreditation, our services as well as our platform is fully compliant. And we offer our customers a couple of ways to solve that for their need. One is called an enhanced compliant environment, where we host essentially a separate account for you on your behalf. And what we do in there is we deploy the services into that environment where no one else is. So it is truly an isolated environment. Your data is isolated in it. We fully manage that for you. The second way that we do that is what's called bring your own cloud. And in a bring your own cloud environment, we're actually deploying into your account. So imagine you setting up a virtual private cloud, where a VPC, where we go in and you provide IAM roles for us. We then provision the service into your account, and we fully manage those services. The benefit is a couple-fold there. One is that as a customer of ours, you're now getting the benefit of the infrastructure running in your account. So the virtual machines, the networking, the disk, the storage. And what does that do for you? That brings those costs back to your commitment, back to the hyperscaler, in this case, Google, Azure, or AWS. So you're burning down your commitment on the infrastructure. We're still fully managing it. The second thing is it still meets that compliance portion of your question, because the data is still inside of your account. It is not in our account. It remains in your account, and we can still provide the same HIPAA and PCI DSS accreditations that we have inside of your account.
Okay, that is amazing. Sorry to take you back. You said something about scaling horizontally and vertically. For the benefit of some of our non-technical audience, do you want to explain what it means to scale horizontally and what it means to scale
good question. That's a great question. So when I talk about scaling vertically, it typically means adding more capability to the virtual machine. So if you're on a 4-core, 8 gigabyte RAM machine, you need to provide more capacity into that virtual machine. So now, as we all know, you can't just take a virtual machine and double the cores and double the RAM. You actually have to go provision a new virtual machine. So what we do for our services is we will actually go get a 16-core, 32 gigabyte machine. We'll start spinning that up right next to your existing service. We then move all the data to that new service. So if it's a Postgres, we move the data, and then we cut the DNS over for you. So there's no downtime for you to scale vertically by adding more compute, RAM, or storage to it. Now, in scaling horizontally, that means by adding more resources to the cluster. So typically, adding more nodes into your cluster. So for example, with Kafka or OpenSearch, if you need more capacity on parallelization, so adding more clients to it, what we're going to be adding is, if we typically start with, say, a 3-node cluster, we might double that to a 6-node cluster. And that's adding more virtual machines into the cluster, so allowing more horizontal scaling to allow you to increase ingestion rates, as also read rates out of the cluster.
That is amazing. Sorry, I have one more follow-up
Sure.
question. Because, you know, I'm in the AI space. There's something we call model parallelization. And do you want to talk about what data parallelization actually means?
So from my definition of data parallelization, it depends. And one could be the data parallelization running through your event stream. Okay, so how am I pushing multiple streams through your event that could be coming from different sources, source A and source B, and then how am I potentially pushing those through, but then providing value and turning them into something of more value into source C, right? So if I'm combining a fraction of A and B, then I'm getting something better. So a sum of the two parts. Now, the other ways data parallelization and data scaling is in terms of allowing you to get more throughput out of the system, right? So how does if you need to really scale exit of your data out of, say, OpenSearch into a query, into an analytical system, how are you parallelizing that? And typically that is done by adding more nodes into a cluster to allow more query power and enough capacity for threads to yank the data out.
Well, that is a very analytical response. Then I promise I have just 2 questions left. And the next question would be, how does your organization help your clients to comply to responsible AI principles? Because when it comes to complying or practicing responsible AI principles, it actually starts from the phase of gathering the data, collecting the data, storing the data. Mm-hmm. And there are certain principles that they have to follow to ensure that the organization design an AI solution that is free of bias, that is free of any form of AI risks. Mm-hmm. Then how does your organization help companies or your client to comply to these principles, these best practices in terms of responsible AI?
Yeah, and we do that essentially by, again, because we're an open source database provider, right? We typically lean on the best practices in the industry. So remember, what our databases store are vectorized columns, right? So you have a vector column in, say, OpenSearch, or a vectorized data column in Postgres. And then the power of that is that, look, it allows you to store the data into how you need it to be queried by your application space. But from cleaning the data and managing the data and then storing the data, the storage of the data is where we really come in to the solution. The manipulation of the data is typically done at the application tier, which is just outside of our purview. So we would always recommend best practices that are outside of a little bit of our scope.
That's a very good question. Okay, my last question is, does your platform solution, is it something that can be leveraged by different industry, or is there like a restriction to which industry can leverage your platform when it comes to data storage solutions?
Yeah, and that's a great question. And the simple answer is, yeah, any industry can leverage us. So we service all aspects of all verticals. So from retail, from manufacturing, from digital natives. we solve all of those problems for the same customers because, again, it's open source technology. So there's nothing that we're limiting our customers from doing. Whatever they can imagine by putting into our database, into your schema, into your storage, stitching change data capture from a Postgres into Kafka, pushing that out to a data lake, and then querying it ultimately out to a dashboard or into an analytics capability. We're not limiting any customers in any way, shape, or form. So again, to your question, yeah, any essential vertical in the industry can use our services.
Great. And my last question, mention 3 biggest clients of Aiven.
Who are our 3 biggest clients?
Yeah.
Oh, great question. So out in Europe, one of our largest customers is Decathlon. So Decathlon is a sporting good company. They're one of the largest sporting good companies in Europe. So they're similar to, like, in the Americas, like a Dick's Sporting Goods. In America, one of our largest customers is Priceline.com. So that's who I was talking about earlier, where you go in and look to find your next vacation and book your trip. The other thing that we don't really get a lot of credit for is we also have major partnership with OEM partners. And what I mean by that is we actually are the provider to second-tier second-tier clouds. So for example, we are the provider of databases to Akamai. Akamai offers databases as a service to their customers. Now, Akamai isn't the big 4 of AWS, GCP, Azure, and Oracle, but they do offer a compute layer. And to that compute layer to their customers, if you need a database, if you need a Kafka service, you can come to us, and by coming to us, we can provide that for you. So we offer that essentially to 8 OEMs around the world.
Wow, great. Thank you so much, Mr. Jason.
Thank you, Henry.
It's great to have you on our AI Spotlight show. Probably on our next episode, we can do some demo of this product.
That sounds great.
That our audiences can have a visual view of how your platform actually works from a use case perspective. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Henry.
It's an amazing interview. Great to understand and know what kind of solution Aiven is providing in terms of developing intelligent AI solutions. My name remains Henry Onowale. Thanks for watching.